The Pity of War, Explaining World War I by Niall Ferguson. Niall Ferguson's The Pity of War, Explaining World War I offers some very interesting and necessarily controversial views on the war. Dr. Ferguson is primarily an economic historian, and the work reflects that. He expertly looks at the economic realities under which the war was waged, and considers things like just how much money belligerent governments spent to kill one soldier. The numbers are astounding. Additionally, he explores the cost of the war within the larger context of rising government expenditures generally. Entire chapters are devoted to these economic questions, and Ferguson expertly traces the financial costs of the conflict. Equally, Ferguson traces the human costs with skill. Tactics, technology, and leadership are all explored brilliantly here, as are the questions of morale, prisoners of war, recruitment, grand strategy, and more. Some of Ferguson's most compelling and controversial chapters deal with Britain's role in the war. While he notes that the Germans frequently failed to capitalize on new battlefield technologies effectively in a timely manner, he notes that, quote, the German army was a model of operational and tactical proficiency. He reserves his most damning arguments for the UK. Quote, the trouble was, and here the excuses must stop, that the entire culture of the British regular army militated against effective improvisation. Essentially, he paints the British military leadership as unprepared to fight a continental war, and frequently forced into making hastily planned offensives to satisfy its coalition partners. More than this, however, Ferguson is very critical of Britain's decision to enter World War I. Indeed, Britain's pre-war diplomacy and unwillingness to formally join the Triple Entente was perhaps a major cause of the war. Quote, the uncertainty about Britain's position probably made a continental war more rather than less likely, by encouraging the Germans to consider a preemptive strike. The Pity of War is filled with controversial arguments and original thinking. I'm not certain I agree with all of Ferguson's conclusions, but it is good that we have these perspectives in order to encourage conversation and debate. Whether you agree with Ferguson's findings or not, there is no denying that this book and arguments are now a major part of the literature surrounding the Great War, 1914 to 1918. Any serious student of the conflict must encounter Ferguson's work sooner or later.